And there's a golf shot. Deep left field. Castellanos again. And he is barking to his dugout. Bye-bye, baseball. Hello, lead. 3-2 Reds.
All right, guys, welcome to Late Night Reds Talk here on the Locker Room app. And Nick, I think it's pretty much more difficult to think that this could have gone. We're about an inning away from discussing could the Reds have gone wire to wire this year. Obviously, a tough outing for the first day for Luis Castillo, where the defense is kind of messing up. Eugenio Suarez getting used to playing shortstop again. And since then, they still scored 6 runs that day. Since then, obviously, they've won their 5 games. They sweep the Pirates, who I understand are a glorified maybe AA team, not AAA team, and get those big wins. So, we're talking about a team now that's the 5-1 Cincinnati Reds with the best run differential in the majors at the moment. The Astros and Angels have not started yet tonight. But man, when you look at just everything here, you and I decided not even to have like a certain topics. We just sort of there's so much to be excited about. What are you thinking right now, man? How are you feeling about this team?
Well, first off, the Astros don't play tonight. They don't play till tomorrow. So
we got it. All right.
So we are the top run differential for one day, no matter what. I know that I did a little research earlier. What an exciting start. The first inning literally was the absolute nightmare that I had discussed last week when we did this preview. Everything else since then has literally been I don't even know if it would have been in my wildest dreams. I couldn't even have imagined a start like this. Just incredible. Everyone is hitting. It's not even getting talked about, but Jeff Hoffman, Jose De Leon, and Wade Miley just threw 3 gems back to back to back. What? The bullpen has been flawless except for the one guy we counted on. What a start, man. I'm excited. It's not going to keep up like this all year, but I think those of us who were optimistic about the Reds lineup, I think you kind of see why we were optimistic about the lineup. And they're gonna slump just like any other team any other year, but I think you see how deep this lineup can be with Senzel in India, batting 6-7, Stevenson batting. It's just a super deep lineup. Aristides Aquino or Shogo Akiyama is our 6th outfielder. What? Just incredible. I don't even know where to start. There's just so much. What a week.
Yeah, I think the easiest place, obviously, to start has got to be, the play of Nick Castellanos. And, obviously everyone's kind of talking about, the fact he got the suspension he's currently appealing, which I remember you and I texting about it going, what the hell? But just the fact that it seems I think he's everything you want your best player to be, right? He is taking the team on his back. When he has a big play, he looks at his dugout to respond, and he wants to keep the ball rolling. He goes in those pressers, and sometimes he's giving you all the answers, and sometimes he's just you know what, we won, and I just want to chill. And I don't blame him for that, So he's got this unbelievable swagger. The way he's hitting the ball feels like it's the MLB The Show version of himself playing real baseball right now. If you remember what I said last week, I said he's the most unstoppable player in that game. So I think Castellanos is the easiest place to start. We'll kind of go through a little bit of the lineup here and there from there, but just what you're seeing from him, and obviously, we're only 6 games into the season, but if baseball were only 6 games, I would think he'd have to be the NL MVP, right?
Yeah, I think he's tied for the National League lead in wins above replacement right now with Marte of Arizona, who we'll get to see this weekend. But yeah, he's been incredible. But he's been incredible, and he's just one of 8 guys that have been incredible. It's ridiculous. I guess let's go and get the suspension out of the way. Talk about that. What a garbage decision, but
so trash.
It's the most hypocritical decision I think I've ever seen. And I people who follow me, we pointed out, Molina with the throat slash. I mean, come on, and don't hide behind COVID protocols, and especially, you have 50,000 people at a Texas stadium, and you're worried about
Right.
Nick Castellanos staring. I mean, come on, that's a little ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, but it's gonna probably get appealed and be down to one game. It's not like the Reds don't have any outfield options to cover one game. So,
Right.
and Castellanos is a guy who doesn't like to ever take a game off, so it might be a good way to get him a day off. Sorry about the paycheck, bro, but but yeah, I mean, I love it. I love that he did that. I love that, the Cardinals came in here as the favorite. Bob Nightingale said, go ahead and, put the champagne on ice this offseason. And the Reds came up here and they whipped them. They whipped them, on Saturday and Sunday. They outplayed them in every phase of the game. And it's 2 games. It's not, there's a lot of games left, but the Reds certainly, I think, set the tone. And you got to love that.
Well, I think the thing that kind of gets overlooked a lot, and you talk about like setting the tone, and just the fact that they like took it to them, is everyone remembers, like we said, opening day didn't go so well, but even in the second game, like Paul DeJong hits a home run pretty early in the game. The Cardinals had the lead, and the Reds responded. They were like, okay, like we're not going to do this again. And like I think that's one of the things that really just jumped out to me was like that quick response and obviously taking over the game. But yeah, Castellanos has just been the perfect leader for them. And just kind of been just blown away. And then, the youth of this team, and I know Nick Senzel just got his first hits last night in the second Pirates game, but I think for me what just really stood out the most to him, and I understand what I'm saying right now, it may sound crazy considering he started the season 0 for 7, but you're starting to see why he was the number 2 pick in the draft. Like his plate vision, just how comfortable he is in the box. And, obviously the athleticism, which we saw, is terrific. But, like, yeah, I know he didn't get a hit the first few games of the year, but watching him just, like, work counts and get on, he had 2 or 3 walks. I was really, really blown away by what I've seen from him so far. Just, how good he really is.
Yeah, I mean, I said this earlier today, but if Senzel really takes off like we thought that he could, when he first came up, I mean, my goodness, this lineup is deep. And he's playing well right now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's off to a great start. Let's not kid ourselves there. But yeah, I mean, really, you were talking about opening day, how the Reds didn't fold and came back. It wasn't like they just, hit a couple cheap home runs with a middle reliever out there. They were grinding out at bat after at bat after at bat. And really just, I guess and that just goes with what I was saying, with the lineup just being so deep up and down. Everyone seems to give a really professional at bat. Everyone is not trying to do too much, but still somehow being aggressive. And it's obviously when you're scoring 57 runs in 6 games, a lot is just going right. But, some of these habits that we're seeing, I think give us a lot of hope and a lot of optimism for the season.
Yeah, and obviously talking about the youth, you can't go much further than Jonathan India, who, again, if the season ended after 6 games, is, got a very strong case for National League Rookie of the Year. But, we still got 156 of these to go. But I think, his comfortability is something I don't remember really seeing from a rookie in this organization in a long time. Just the fact that, he made the opening day roster and immediately, he struck out his first at bat, but you just saw him like come back. He knocks that double in opening day. He's got 8 RBI already, which I don't really give 2 shits about RBI as a stat necessarily, but just seeing him consistently make contact and make pitchers work, it's just been a blast to watch. And on the defensive side of the ball where we were really concerned, he's honestly been pretty impressive with the glove.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like he belongs for sure. And I said earlier, he kind of reminds me of Zach Cozart. When Zach Cozart came up, and I know Cozart, poor guy got hurt after 10 games. But man, when he came up, he took ownership of that shortstop position. He looked like that was his position. And man, Indy, I can't believe how good he's been defensively. I think that's maybe more impressive than the bat. Because I think a lot of these guys, they can come up and kind of get hot for a week, not taking anything away from what he's done with the bat. But the defense, that's not something that you just, you can fluke by
Right.
for a couple days. He's been super impressive. I'll go ahead and say it. No, the Reds should not move him to shortstop. Do not move a poor kid who just came up and has played 1 week in baseball to a new position. That would not be a smart move. That would make the Reds weaker overall because you would have India at shortstop position he's not good at. He's good at second. You'd be moving Moustakas to second, who Moustakas isn't as good as India is now. That's not a good move. Don't do it. Don't think about it. It is what it is. Maybe the Reds should have looked at this, a year ago. But it's far too late for that. But yeah, I mean, just be happy with his second base defense. That's gonna help Suarez, I think, a lot because if you get one tough chance that Suarez doesn't get that maybe a good shortstop would have, but then India makes a really spectacular play that most other second basemen wouldn't make. It evens itself out, and it kind of, I think, can cover up maybe some of your defensive liabilities. So yeah, I'm so thrilled by India. He'll slump. Let's be realistic. Let's not put more pressure on him. But man, he's just been phenomenal, and I'm so excited for him.
I'm going to try my hardest when we talk about the Votto here to not sound like I'm being a total homer because I understand what the stat line says. But watching these at bats, and I'm pretty sure I've seen every at bat so far this year. Again, it's only been 6 games. I know you watch the games as much as I do. I've been lucky enough to be at the ballpark twice this year, but I feel like he's just been super unlucky, man. Like he's making good contact. I know he's had a couple strikeouts. He just had his first walk today, but I feel, am I wrong in watching? Are you seeing the same thing I am? Do you feel like it's maybe just hitting the ball right at the defender?
Yeah, he's hitting the ball hard. I'm pulling it up now. He has a exit. He already has his max exit velocity on a ball hit is 113.6, which is that's the highest of his career. So he's already hit a ball harder. Now I think Statcast only goes back to 2015. But yeah, I mean he's been hitting the ball hard. He's had a lot of tough luck, and Joey's been a slow starter years before. And that's the thing with a long lineup is, when you have 8 guys that can hit, 8 guys that are dangerous, the chances of all 8 of them slumping at the same time is unlikely. And when you have 2 or 3 guys slumping, like Votto and Suarez haven't hit at all, and the Reds are still scoring 57 runs in 6 games because the other guys are all tearing the cover off the ball. So when Castellanos and India struggle, Votto and Suarez hopefully will be the ones carrying. And that's just the thing about having a deep lineup that we haven't seen. I'm trying to think, maybe is 2010, is that the last time maybe the Reds had 8 batters that were no, even 2010 they didn't because they had Orlando Cabrera in the lineup.
Yeah.
When's the last time you really had 8 guys that like today's lineup, 8 guys that you're like, wow, every single one of those guys is dangerous. Every single one of those guys can hit the ball to the ballpark. Every single one of those guys are a hitter I want to watch. Take their at bat. I mean, it's fun to watch.
2000, 2001. I know they were terrible as a team, but
yeah, I mean, probably one of those teams. I mean, had some lineups where they had just everyone was dangerous, but yeah,
99 jumps out obviously. 99, they were incredible.
Toppensee was the catcher then. It usually just you look at those teams and you say who was the catcher, who was the shortstop, who was the third baseman, and were any of those positions weak. But yeah, I mean, it's probably been, unless please someone chime in, that's listening live if I'm missing something egregious. But yeah, I mean, like Ed Toppensee had a 116 OPS plus in 99. But hey, Pokey Reese only was at 86. Aaron Boone was at 92. Tucker was at 90. I don't know. I mean, 2021 Reds are the best since the machine.
Yeah, because I was thinking. So my buddy John Mensch, who listens to the show every week on Spotify, which if you are, you should as well. And Michael, we're definitely going to get to your questions, so don't think we're ignoring you by any means. We love having the interaction. So he asked me, it's like, when was the last time you felt this excited about the Reds? And I had to think about it, because obviously I'm excited every year. I'm pretty optimistic, even though I know they're going to, there was a lot of years when we knew they were going to be pretty brutal. But I think the last time I was this excited I can remember moment-wise was when they got Chu. Because it was like, oh, man, Drew Stubbs obviously struggled. They get the leadoff hitter that you can count on. There's just the nerves about him playing center field. You're like, I don't know how that's going to work out. But, at the same point, you're like, okay, so 1, 2, at that time, Phillips was a serviceable major league hitter. I know he has the fans who are going to be like, really? He hit, all these RBI. And that's not what we're here for on this show. But I think that's the last time I really felt this comfortable with their offense. And I think this offense is better than that.
Yeah, this offense is definitely better than 2013. The 2013 was very top heavy. It was
Derek Robinson was in left field.
Yeah. I mean, this lineup's definitely better than that. I don't know. I mean, I guess probably pre-COVID last offseason, I probably felt better even than right now. But that obviously, got destroyed with COVID. Because that team the team that the Reds had last year is still better than this team. You know, even though they didn't perform, in 60 games, I fully believe, and I know a lot of people will think I'm nuts. I fully believe that season plays out 162 games. The Reds probably win 95 games. Maybe I'm nuts, but I think that their pitching was just so deep, and it's pretty much the exact same lineup except for India, who's a huge upgrade over Freddie Galvis and Jose Garcia, but
Freddie Galvis.
It was still pretty much the same lineup. I was really excited about that team, but before that, I mean, we're probably back, like the 2012 team, probably for me. I don't know. I don't know if I was more excited about the 2013 team than I would be right now. And maybe some of that was the PTSD of, that division series in 2012. That felt like it just hung over that whole season. And Chu, I love Chu, and he brought a lot of excitement, but it was still just this weird feeling that whole year for me. I don't know. Looking back, I'm like, why did I not enjoy this more? When it happened,
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. So Michael Parker, who was in, looks like he's a first timer. Welcome. We're excited to have you, man. So he had a comment and then he had a question. So his comment said, honestly, prior to the 2020 season, I felt like it's the best top to bottom for a long time, which we totally agree. It's kind of the conversation we're having. Nick is I would have to go back. I don't have the 1990 team in front of me by any means. I knew there were some boppers, but I knew they had some weaknesses in the order also. But yeah, it might be the machine, honestly. But he has a question. He said, he's torn on what to do when Shogo returns. Who gets released or sent down? And, I think what we're kind of not used to in a long time here is having too many good players because we haven't had that, in so long. He's right, though. Shogo Akiyama comes up. He's got a big contract. You mentioned, Aquino and Tyler Naquin, who has been terrific, and we're going to talk about him, I'm sure. But obviously, Senzel's the everyday center fielder. When Jesse Winker comes back, he's got a spot. So it's like you look at this outfield depth, and I don't remember, it's not like they're running, Kevin Mitchell and Reggie Sanders out there at this point. It's like all these dudes are just phenomenal. And at those times, it's like, you have those two, and you're like, I don't know who's in center field today. So there's just so many guys now. It just makes so many things to be excited about this outfield. So I don't know. Would have been cool if they had a DH this year in the National League for this purpose. But, like I said, I think it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, first you got to start off with the pump the brakes. Someone's going to get hurt. And I'm not trying to wish any ill will on anyone.
Right.
But you look at the Reds outfield, Winker, Senzel, and Shogo, and Naquin. I mean, they've all had a lot of injury issues, the last couple years. And so The chances Shogo is not going to be back until May, and honestly, David Bell's probably at this point kind of happy about that. As weird as that sounds, he's like, okay, I don't have to make a decision until May. I at least can push that off. Um, um, but by the time May rolls around, it seems possible one of these guys gets hurt, or maybe one of these guys just completely falls off the map. I like all six guys. All six
I do
guys
too.
are players that you would want to if you're a team like the Reds, who are a mid market team. You want to find guys. You want to find diamonds in the rough to create value out of nothing, right? And Castellanos is obviously not in that category because he's actually compensated. But you want to find these guys and create value that's not there. So you would want like all six of these guys to play because either they're good for you or they're good trade bait or whatever else. And all six of these guys are guys that I want the Reds to get a look at. Obviously, you can't play all of them. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what Tyler Naquin does. I know people are going to kill me, but I don't know if Shogo Akiyama could out OPS Tyler Naquin. And I'm not trying to be a hater of Shogo Akiyama, but Shogo Akiyama still didn't hit a major league home run last year. And I don't know. I mean, obviously you're paying Shogo a lot more than Naquin, but I mean, Naquin has almost a career 800 OPS. Like, he's a really, really good player. I cannot believe the Reds just picked him up on a minor league contract. I'm still stunned. I was stunned when it happened. And, I mean, I've been a fan of Naquin for a long time. I'd love to see him get a run. We'll have to see. I really, really, really wish they would be flexible with Senzel. And play him at second base occasionally, or third base, and be able to move some guys around for off days to maybe get Naquin's bat in more in center field. But it just doesn't. I guess that's not part of the plan. So again, it probably will work itself out. But if let's say if I don't want to just completely not answer the question. If Naquin's hitting like this, I'm sorry, he's behind. Shogo Akiyama's behind him. I mean, Tim, do you think I'm nuts on that? But if he's still hitting, and we'd be talking a month, if he's still hitting, Naquin's ahead of him on the depth chart.
Yeah, I think at that point we've been talking about Shogo Akiyama for Trevor Story, right? I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go.
Honestly, with Shogo, and it's not a knock on Shogo, it's just the climate of Major League Baseball with contracts. He actually has a negative value if you pull up that trade value site. So he would be a guy like the Reds would trade and pay probably at least half of his salary. And in fairness to Shogo, if you try to trade Castellanos and Ristakis, they also have negative trade value. So that's not any knock on Shogo. That's just the climate of baseball right now, that no one wants to take on these contracts unless it's a bona fide superstar. Maybe Castellanos has changed a little bit in a week than he was, in the offseason. But yeah, that's just kind of where baseball is.
Yeah, so Michael followed up with, can Naquin's success be sustained? Has to be a reason he was available in the cheap. Is this a case of new clubhouse and scenery? So you touched on it. Like, if you listen to what all the guys say, like on Everton Spring Training, like, he's a freak of nature. He's this unreal athlete, and he's got all these skills. But he had a hard time staying healthy. Obviously, last year, like a lot of hitters had really rough years. He had one with the Indians last year. So I think, like, as far as can this be sustained, no, I don't think he's going to hit a leadoff home run every game. But do I think that, like, if he was part of, like, this outfield, like, maybe platoon or rotation, depending on whatever word you want to use, like, I could definitely see him being a part there. He's a good enough player. He's certainly athletic. If you look at his career, when he came up, he made a boom immediately. People found that old tweet between you and me where you said you would have traded Jay Bruce or Tyler Naquin. So, maybe, like, I think I don't have any reason to think he couldn't be, like, a consistent good player for this team. I'm not going to say, Chris Heisey, because there's certainly things I like about him more than I liked for Chris Heisey. But, yeah, man, I think that there's a lot to be excited about with him.
Yeah, I mean, he has a career 777 OPS. The only 2 years that he stayed healthy and played anywhere close to a full season, he had an 886 OPS and a 792 OPS. So when he's been healthy, he's produced, and he did not fit in well to Cleveland. Francona did not like him for whatever reason. He played really bad players over him at times, and I'm talking when he was healthy. So there was definitely something there. We saw that post-game interview last night. He seems to be, really comfortable in Cincinnati. Obviously, it's a little easier to be comfortable when you're, hitting balls into the river. Guys are going to like you. It's a pretty likable trait, but yeah, I like Naquin. I mean, we'll see how the next month plays off, but if he's hitting like this in a month, I'm sorry, he's ahead of the show on the depth chart. But again, we got a long month ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, especially with the West Coast road trip coming up, who I know it's not the best competition that they could be playing, but still, we if you're a Reds fan for a long time, you know what that could potentially mean. But let's kind of go through real quick. I want to talk about, you mentioned earlier, the one guy in the bullpen who's really been kind of like the guy, who hasn't been pitching the best is the guy we all counted on, Amir Garrett. And look, yeah, it's been rough, but he's also only pitched 2 innings. So it's kind of like okay, obviously, they're up 11-0 today. He gives up a grand slam. The other day they're up 5-2 and he comes in after they came back after that, Moose hit that moon shot, and he struggles and gives up a run to his homer to his first batter. I don't, I'm not at the point where I know a lot of people here, and I saw he posted that thing about the Reds had a sweep today, and you see all the comments, of course, of well, everyone played great but you, and it's maybe that's true for this game, but I don't think there's any reason to believe that we're going to see just consistent struggles of Amir Garrett, especially when you see what Raisel Iglesias is doing in Anaheim right now.
Well, and I mean, look at Raisel Iglesias the first 2 weeks of last year. He couldn't get anyone out, and then he was incredible. The last, 7 weeks of the season or whatever. So yeah, it's 2 games in weird situations. They didn't get him in, right away in the season, just because of the way that the season kind of played out. He pitched, the first time he pitched was Monday night, right? He didn't pitch in the Cardinals series. I'm sure Garrett was expecting to pitch in the Cardinals series, but there was never a spot because, the Reds beat the crap out of the Cardinals. So yeah, I mean, I don't put any stock in a couple games from a reliever. I think he'll figure it out. Now, in fairness, I thought Lucas Sims was the better reliever before the season started, but that doesn't take anything away from Garrett. I think Garrett will be fine. I think he'll be a force as the year goes on. I see JW, control scares me. Yeah, that scared me before the season. So nothing's changed on my opinion of Amir Garrett from 2 games. Still worried about the control, only in terms of him being like that if you have Luis Castillo pitch, let's put it this way. If Luis Castillo pitches you 8 innings and you have a fresh bullpen, I would go with Lucas Sims over Amir Garrett unless it's a string of lefties every time. It's not a knock on Garrett. I just really, really love Lucas Sims. I think Lucas Sims is more consistent. But that's not taking anything away from Amir Garrett. I think Amir Garrett's great. I think he'll be fine. It's just let's chill a little bit on him.
Did you think at any point in the year that we would be talking about Sal Romano leading the bullpen in innings?
Yeah. Someone asked me. I remember someone asked me about Sal Romano. I was like, I wouldn't worry about him. He's only going to pitch in blowouts. Well, he has only pitched in blowouts, but he's leading the team in innings pitched. I mean, good for him. That's a guy that has has just somehow just stuck around. He's earning that those major league dollars. Good for him, and he's pitched well. I mean, good for him. That's the kind of guy you love. Just that guy that just keeps earning those MLB dollars. Hasn't really wowed anyone, but also hasn't done anything to not get a chance. He throws strikes, and that's what the Reds wanted out of his spot. Is they wanted a guy that we want a guy that we could put out there. He's going to throw strikes. Sal Romano's going to come out and throw you strikes. Good for him.
Yeah. So Michael popped up in the chat with another good question, And this is the thing that's on a lot of fans' mind right now, and I totally get it. Like we said, with the surplus of talent they have right now, he said, could a trade scenario be in the works for Reds outfield surplus, prospect of relief pitching depth? What could Aquino get in a trade straight up? So let's work backwards. As far as Aquino straight up, I don't know what you're going to get in that case. Obviously, we know the power's there. We know, we saw. Did you see that ball today? That guy caught from his homer where it had like a scuff on it, where like some of the like stitching came off the ball a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like it's unreal the power he has. But we talked about not giving up on him because he's only had about 85 major league games, but he's hit 23, 24 homers in those 85 games. So his talent level is certainly intriguing. I know that year when he came up after Puig got traded, he showed some outfield flashes with his arm, but was never like this terrific, just jaw-dropping outfielder by any means. So I don't know what they could get for him. I think people would have interest in him, but I highly doubt straight up you're going to get like, I don't think the Red Sox are going to give up one of their decent relievers right now to try to get his bat to improve their offense.
yeah. I think if the Reds, had a DFA him, I mean, I think there'd be 20 plus teams come calling. Absolutely.
For sure.
Let's put this guy on our team and see what he's got. You don't accidentally hit that many home runs. There's something there. So yeah, I think the only way Aquino has any value would be the only thing you'd be able to get back from Aquino is if you took on some salary, which the Reds aren't going to do right now. The Reds aren't going to take on salary for a relief pitcher. No one's going to give up a relief pitcher on a league minimum or close to that salary for Aquino right now with just so much unknown. So my thought is Aquino is ride him out, see what you can get. Remember, Winker, Shogo, and Naquin are all left-handed batters. Aquino's the only one of those that's right-handed. So Aquino has some value in that regard. Naquin, I love Naquin. He can't hit left-handed pitching. I know everyone hates me whenever I say a lefty can't hit left-handed pitching, but Naquin really can't. Yeah. I guess I'll give you guys the jury's still out on Winker. I think the jury's concluded, but it is what it is. And I don't think Shogo can. So I don't know if Aquino's the guy you really want to get rid of just because he's your right-handed bat on the bench. Do you really want Tyler Naquin coming into pinch hit against Josh Hader? That's not going to be a good matchup for Tyler Naquin. So yeah, I mean, I would say, maybe, I don't know, but it's hard to really see Tyler Naquin having a lot of value. And then, like I said, the only guy that has value out of the Reds outfield is Winker and Senzel. That's the only guys that have value. And I don't think you're going to get rid of either one of them unless you're, bringing back a big shortstop or something. So yeah, I just, the Reds pieces, it just doesn't really, I don't think, match up well for trades.
Yeah, and then he brought up the idea of the prospects of relief pitching depth. And you said last week when we closed out the show, your expectation of Hunter Green, at least this year, is he's going to come up and be a part of the bullpen if he makes it in the 2021 season. And I agree with you. So I think they have a lot of confidence in their bullpen and their prospect arms. Obviously, we know the two biggest names there. I think Lodola, they kind of count us for sure as like a late starter in the rotation, but I don't know what they do there. It also kind of depends on who's going to be available because, like right now, the A's are a dumpster fire. But will they be all year? And was that something where they're going to try to give up some relievers? Maybe, but how good are those relievers going to be? So it's unique, man. It's definitely these are great questions, but I don't really know where you go with it.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell. And there's not very many teams that are going to be wanting to make trades in April. There's a reason you don't see trades happen in April because, teams want to figure out what they got. The last thing a general manager wants to do is make a mistake in April that's going to be magnified when he doesn't have to, when there's not the pressure of the trade deadline. So yeah, I don't, again, I go back to, I really wish they would put Senzel in the infield as their backup infield, and then you could, in theory, carry 6 outfielders and send one of Blandino or Farmer down to the alternate site, and only go with one backup infielder because Senzel is your second backup infielder. And Senzel's not the backup. Senzel's your alternate to play in the infield. I mean, could you imagine like on any given night your bench is Naquin, Aquino, and Shogo?
Pretty awesome.
I mean, that's pretty great for late inning pinch hits opportunities. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to have a bench with a lot of good hitters that you're not throwing away at bats late in the game against great relief pitchers.
Yeah, we don't have that weird thing this year where there's like, you remember there was like that stretch for like the end of the Dusty Baker era, where every year they just had like a random ass like veteran shortstop like Edgar Renteria, and you're like, why do you keep picking these guys? Like, who was it? The guy from the Phillies that pitched the game against us. They had him in 2012, and it's like, why do you keep getting these guys? Like, we don't have that this year. It's like, oh, that's the guy's gonna be our backup hitter. Okay, he's pretty good, So
I guess they're general managers and managers are just
Carlos Valdez.
are always worried about being embarrassed on the defensive end. I guess by you run out of infielders and you have to move Castellanos to third base, and I guess that's the thought. That seems like a pretty weird fear for me. Like, I don't think anyone's going to really be that upset in one game, but
yeah,
whatever.
So Will asked your guys' opinion on when Sonny and Lorenzen come back. He said, I feel like Lorenzen might be better in the bullpen position. So we'll start from the top there. The obvious is when Sonny Gray comes back, he goes right back to the top of the rotation. Maybe one or maybe two, but he's still there. He threw 4 2/3 at the alternate site, which was, pretty promising. As far as Lorenzen, obviously this expectation is he's going to be a starter, but Jeff Hoffman and Jose De Leon, they did what they're supposed to do. They're putting pressure on the franchise to say like, you guys can't take us out. And again, they've each had one start, and I was blown away by how De Leon responded, giving up 2 first-inning homers and pitched really well the rest of the time he was in the game. Jeff Hoffman, pitched really well. So with Lorenzen, Carlos talked about this last week where he kind of feels more like comfortable that with Lorenzen being in the bullpen. I talked about how I could see him kind of doing that as well. And then, we're not even talking about TJ Antone in this situation, who also everyone has this idea of being kind of like the good Alfredo Simon, where he's got his guys back between like long man and rotation. So with Lorenzen, I could see a situation where he's back in the bullpen, but I do think they're going to maybe give him a shot to start when he first comes back.
Yeah, so it sounds like Sonny's going to come back first whenever he does, and I feel very confident in saying the move will be Jose De Leon will get sent down because Jose De Leon has an option. Jeff Hoffman doesn't have an option. So that makes that decision pretty easy. You don't want to lose your starting pitching depth because more starting pitchers are going to get hurt, especially in this year. We talked about that. So I definitely think Sonny's back, De Leon's gone. I guess with Lorenzen, let's put TJ Antone to the side for now because we don't know what the plan is with him. He's only pitched 1 inning. But let's just say, Lorenzen. I think it's going to come down to how well does Jeff Hoffman pitch. If Jeff Hoffman keeps pitching well, then maybe you say, oh, sorry, Mike, you're going to the pen. Like, I'm not taking Jeff Hoffman out, and Jeff Hoffman doesn't have an option. So he's another. You don't want to lose him if he's pitching well. You can't send him down to the alternate site to say, all right, here we're stashing you for the next time we need a start. I think it would probably with Lorenzen would come down to how well Jeff Hoffman pitches. If Jeff Hoffman doesn't pitch well, then Lorenzen's going to probably get the shot, and you're going to lose Hoffman. I don't know with TJ Antone. The thing I think a lot of people have to remember, he's only made 4 big league starts. I need to see how many innings he's pitched. I don't think he's actually pitched that many innings in a year either. And remember, he's also coming off Tommy John surgery. So the Reds don't want to. You don't want to I know everyone wants him to start, and that's great. But we're looking at a guy that I don't see going past 150 innings. So post Tommy John, he did pitch. Okay, 2019, he put in some innings. He put in 146. But that's not a full season of starting. So, I think that's also probably a reason they're being cautious with him. So I guess to sum it up, I think De Leon's the first one gone when Gray comes back, and then Lorenzen. If Hoffman's pitching well, Lorenzen goes to the bullpen. If Hoffman gets rocked the next couple starts, then Lorenzen's in the rotation.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll kind of touch a couple more things before we get out of here. I know we normally do this about an hour, so I did want to touch real quick and talk about. I was lucky enough to attend 2 games this week.
Yeah, I want to
And
hear about that.
man, the crowd was incredible. You could tell how much the city has missed being at the ballpark. I took my fiance to her first Reds game ever on Sunday, and so when they went 12-1, I had to be like, it's not normally like this, I swear. And of course, I go yesterday with a friend of mine, and they went 14-1. I was like, maybe it is. I don't know now, but just like the energy's there. If you're worried about COVID and you're in the area, like they do such a phenomenal job of like spacing everybody out. They're on top of the mask, policy. They make sure that like if they see it and you're kind of a little under your nose, they get on you to pull it back up.
Oh wow.
So they're really good with it, and like for this, it's not like someone can just come up and sit next to you. So if that's one of your worries, like they have it in pods of certain areas, so you can only buy if it's just like say it's just Nick and I going, and we don't have like our wife our significant others going with us. We can only buy 2. If we buy 2 tickets, there's only 2 people in that section that can sit next to us. I mean, we're the only 2 people that can sit there. We can't have 2 people sit next to us. Say it's like we do go in like with a bunch of friends, and we want to get like a pot of 4. There are seats that are marked just for 4 people, so we're like the rest of that row is taken care of, but there's no one like by you. So I think that they've done a terrific job with that, but like the atmosphere, the energy, it feels like the 2 games I've gone to, and granted they were National League Central opponents. It was earlier in the year. Everyone's missed the park so much, dude. It felt like when I was at playoff games, everyone's loud. Like you can tell when you're on TV, like 9,000 sounds like 20,000 sometimes with the way they've been playing. So it's been awesome. I can't wait to be back again. I've missed being at the park so much.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely feel it on TV. And yeah, I mean, I don't think really last year, even when we were in the season, like, yeah, whatever, there's no fans, it kind of is what it is. I don't think you really just realized what a difference it makes. You think, oh, the Reds have like 10,000 a night. Well, 10,000 is still a massive difference from 0.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the crowd sounded great. They brought a lot of energy, and you could really feel it on the broadcast. So yeah, I definitely applaud the crowd. I did see a question on here, Tim, from Michael. Good question about options. Farmer and Blandino do have an option. If you guys are ever like curious on these things, there's this awesome tool, Fangraphs.com. Click on roster resource, and then like it has like a little drop down menu. It has all the teams. Click on the Reds. It'll tell you every player if they have an option or not. Listed right there. So that's kind of it's a really cool tool. I literally spend like all my time on it. I do my MLB The Show. When I play like a season, I make the lineups match whatever that is, because it's the most like up to date lineup for their standard lineup for each team, and it's just an awesome resource. So yeah, check that out. But both of those guys do have options. So yeah, I mean, if you did, hypothetically move Senzel, or not move Senzel, but make Senzel your backup, infielder, and have him occasionally play for off days or double switches or whatever late, then yeah, you could send one of those other guys down, and then you don't have to lose any of those other guys because Aquino doesn't have an option. Now, Tyler Naquin does have 2 options, but again, if we're talking Tyler Naquin still hitting like he's hitting, or not hitting, he's not going to hit like he's hitting into May. But if he's still hitting well into May, those options don't matter. You're not going to use one of those, without making a complete fool of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do love that Fangraphs thing. I went on there today to look at, if you want to keep track too on the cool things they have as far as like the playoff predictions, which I know Nick's very big on.
Oh yeah.
On opening day, they had the Reds at 22%. I have the pictures here. Let me see exactly what they had, and I'll tell you what it said. On opening day, the Reds had a 22.1% chance to make the playoffs and an 18.4% chance to win the division. And that had them at 4th place. Now, They have them at a 32.9% chance to win the division at second, and a 39.4% chance to make the playoffs. And they have the Brewers winning the division in this circumstance. So, I don't know. Last I checked, Keston here is over like the season. So I'm not really there with the Brewers yet, but it is a young year. So Fangraphs tools are awesome for guys who kind of are curious and kind of see how things work. Like they do such a good job.
Yeah, I was.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was listening to the Cubs Brewers game on my drive back from doing some work stuff today, and I was like, oh, I knew what the odds were, and I was like, oh man, if the Cubs can just win this game, the Reds will be the division favorites because I'm pretty sure they would have leapfrogged the Brewers. If the Brewers would have been 2-4, I think that would have been enough. If it's only a 5% difference, I would assume that would have bumped the Reds to the favorites, and the Cubs wouldn't. They're way below. So I was like, they'll be the favorites. It didn't happen, but yeah, that tool is really incredible for sure.
Hey, by the way, do you think Jock Peterson will get suspended for his bat flip today because he showed emotion?
I don't know. I don't know what a suspension is and what isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just and the whole thing it's really just so bizarre how MLB will protect pitchers at all costs. And I'm sorry, Carlos. I'm really sorry, Carlos. I'm not trying to pick on you, but they will protect the pitchers at all costs. They can plunk a guy, whatever, but I don't understand how someone can get drilled in the ribs and they're just supposed to say, thank you, sir. Hit me again. Like, come on. You're going to get upset at that. Any normal human being would. These guys aren't robots. And I mean, I think the pitcher's got to like Cool today. And I mean, obviously that's a little different because he drilled Indy in the head. But like his reaction was like, okay, that's a human reaction. Like he felt terrible for it. Like, can you not like when you hit a guy, not be like, oh, Macho Man? Can you be like, hey man, my bad, sorry about that. I really wasn't trying to hit you. Like, can you like show some sort of like, hey, I wasn't trying to do that. Like, I don't have to be a big tough guy. Some guy flexes back on you. He'd just be like, yeah, whatever. Hey, I hit that guy in the ribs. Like, yeah, I don't blame him for being a little upset. Like, come on, like just chill a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So my last topic, if we have any other questions, Will, JW, Michael, you guys want to throw any other questions out, please feel free. We'll touch them before we close out. Man, all the good things we've been talking about on the field with this team have been great, and I'm so happy we're doing this. We picked the perfect year to start the show together. But the one thing we haven't touched on yet that's been going awesome is freaking John Sadak, man. He is
I'm so glad you brought
good.
That up. Yeah.
So good, man. The broadcast this year with him and Larkin have been so good together. It feels like they've worked together for years. Just the chemistry they already have, and you have Welsh kind of as the third guy. He's hanging out there at the Reds Life booth with Geese and Slog, and they're doing a good job. And, I'm never going to say a bad thing about Sam LeCure. But, dude, like, just watching Sadak and Barry and, like, do the shows when I'm not at the ballpark, and just it makes it enjoyable. You and I are very open about not being the biggest Brenneman fans, both of them, as far as doing games. So seeing, like, Tommy Thrall and John Sadak do these games on radio and television, just how awesome they are, it's just been a blast.
Yeah, for sure. And, Barry Larkin says a lot of things I don't agree with. People that follow me know I'm a big sabermetrics guy. But Larkin has a very positive perspective now. I guess it's a little easier to be positive during this week, but he has a pretty positive perspective. He seems to, not jump to wild things. So yeah, I'd much rather a guy I disagree with a little bit about some of the things he says that is at least, positive, has a positive spin on things. And, but yeah, the broadcast, it's so enjoyable. Those guys have incredible chemistry. I don't know if you saw any of the spring training games, but I thought Welsh had good chemistry with Sadak.
Yeah.
I think John's just really, really good, and he's really easy to work with. I think that has a lot to do with the chemistry. He's phenomenal. And yeah, the radio booth. Jeff Brantley is a guy that just keeps getting better and better and better and better every year. And I think Tommy Thrall has made the Cowboy a lot better. It's kind of made the Cowboy a little more, positive. And I don't need everything to be all rosy and everything, but I would like to turn on a baseball game after a long day of work and, kind of sit back and enjoy it as opposed to wow, they didn't bump the runner over, or and I really prefer the style of the broadcast now. I think it's phenomenal. It doesn't matter which one you turn on; it's great. And I don't know, is George Grant gonna do some games too? I hope he's doing a few games at some point this year. I mean,
Yeah, that's the
you,
voice of like my childhood doing that or
you
doing
throw
TV
George
games.
Grant into that mix. I mean, that's just great. And I like LeCure. LeCure has a lot of things I disagree with too, but I like LeCure as a um, I think as a person, I guess, is whatever. I like LeCure. I think he's an enjoyable watch. Everyone on the broadcast is enjoyable. Welsh has been incredible on Reds Live.
Yeah,
Always
yeah,
has. He's so well prepared, so well researched. Giesenslaw, I'm surprised Giesenslaw's not honestly on some sort of like national show. I mean, I think he's really, really talented. But yeah, I love the team. I love the broadcast, and so it's very refreshing.
yeah. Because I think Houston still also does Blue Jackets games. I don't really follow hockey,
Yeah,
but
that's
apparently,
that. Yeah, that's why like he did like the pregame show, and he didn't do the postgame show a couple times because he had to do the Blue Jacks game that night. It's why that the Charlie fella. I think Charlie's kind of like, whoa, I don't know what to do with fans around here. Like, like he was
yeah,
last year, he had all studio and like, like he kind of was like blushing when like he heard a lot of noise. But yeah, I think he's good too. He's fine as well.
yeah, for sure. So hey guys, we got about 5 minutes left before we're gonna wrap this up. So Will, JW, Michael, Sean, do you guys have any questions? Anything you want to throw at us? Please feel free. While we're waiting on those, Nick, I gotta ask, man. Today is the anniversary of The Sandlot and Major League both releasing for theaters. What is your favorite baseball movie?
Oh, I feel like I should look up what I put on Twitter because I know like I actually did like a whole rankings and I don't want to like contradict myself. Um, I love The Sandlot. It's definitely not my favorite. Major League's not my favorite. I mean, I love both of those movies.
Same.
I can't find it. Give me one sec. I'm sorry. This is, I'm sure, riveting. Listen.
Yeah. Well, while we're getting ready, he said Michael asked if Sunday will be ready this weekend. I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. I think they're waiting for a homestand because he pitched in the first scrimmage game they've been having at Louisville against Kansas City's prospects. So I think they're going to try to give him another start. But he did throw 4 2/3. I think he only gave up 2 runs. He pitched pretty well. So I think they're kind of taking it a little easier. And right now, with how things are going, obviously they can. But if I had to take a guess, I would think, and I have the schedule here in front of me, you're probably thinking more of maybe the Arizona series when they come back home, the 20th to the 22nd. It will be my best guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. I was actually trying to do a little bit of work today, so I wasn't keeping up on the news. And I know he pitched last night. It almost sounded like to me, as many pitches as he threw last night, maybe it's possible he just makes his next start in the big leagues. But I think
Oh, okay.
you're probably uh, closer. You probably would lean towards what you said about maybe one more time through the rotation. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. All right, so I got the movies here. I'm gonna just do the whole top 10. So
Go for it.
this was from 2014, so I don't think there's been anything since then. But everyone is going to absolutely hate my rankings, and I don't really care. So number one, we have Fever Pitch. I love Fever Pitch. It's the best baseball movie ever, period. End of
I do
story.
like
It's
that
great.
movie.
It's great. I got Moneyball, The Rookie, 42, For the Love of the Game, the most underrated baseball movie, Major League, The Sandlot, Trouble with the Curve, Field of Dreams, and 61. So there you go.
Those are good
Well,
rankings, actually. So you mentioned too that I always tell people you got to watch this movie because I'm for some reason I'm a big Jimmy Fallon mark. I'm 32 years old watching the Tonight Show because I think he's funny, and
he's awesome.
32-year-olds aren't really watching the Tonight Show at this point in their lives. So, so for me, do 30 for 30 docs count? Can we count those? Does anyone have any objections
I
to
don't think
that?
so. I think we're talking like actual
Motion
dramas or
pictures.
comedies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So Major League's definitely up there for me. But 42 is terrific. I think unfortunately he's gone now, but Chadwick Boseman had like a run in cinema that not many people have. For those who are fans of the Marvel franchise, obviously there he was Captain. He was Black Panther. Um, being Jackie Robinson, he was James Brown. He was Thurgood Marshall. Like that dude, before he passed, had like the run of runs of cinemas. He basically had the, Barry Bonds of runs is what he had.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so 42 is up there. That'll probably, I'd say, be my one. And then, man, there's so many good ones, like you said. I'm sorry for the nostalgic people. Little Big League sucks. It's not a good movie. It's just not. It's
I don't know
cool.
if I have an opinion. I think it's like kind of whatever.
Yeah, but one of my other favorites, and it's kind of like just a goofy, like funny one, is Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck when the Yankees trade him to Japan.
Okay, yeah.
It's a good one. And
What's
they have
the
like
other? Sorry, go ahead.
Frank Thomas plays like on the Yankees in the movie, but they never show his face. He's just like cracking homers and like, we're gonna trade you because we got that guy.
What's that? There's another one where the kid's on the Cubs with the
Rookie of the
arm.
Year.
Rookie of the Year. That one's good. I don't know why that one. I feel like that one should probably be in my top 10. I love that movie as a kid. I watched that so many times.
Yeah, I have it on DVD.
Yeah, awesome. I don't. People are gonna hate me. I've never gotten into like The Natural. I don't think it's very good. I think it's super
It's
weird.
too long.
It's kind of boring.
I'm the same way.
But I know that's like everyone's number one, and I'm like a heretic for not loving it. But I'm sorry, I don't. I like enjoyable movies. I want to be entertained.
So, yeah, I'm the same way. But I think with that, man, we're at an hour now. We can go and wrap this up. Hey, everyone that joined us, whether you're here for a minute or you stay for the show, thank you so much. Will, you're like in every weeker now, so we love seeing you there. JW, Michael, Sean, Carlos. I know Carlos kind of dropped out because he had some internet issues. Thank you guys again for tuning in. We're on our 4th episode of this now. We're having a good time. And, if you do miss it and you're not, you don't catch a live show, Nick's doing a hell of a job getting us up on Spotify, and we're working on getting us on all the other different podcast providers of choice. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your night, and we will talk soon.
Thanks, guys.